All right, you've made it to week 15. We're at the end. This is great news for everyone. So we have a test that we have to take. It's the third test in the course, and I've picked out and selected carefully some of the trickiest problems that I know are out there that could potentially cause you some roadblock or agita. So if they're not on the test, that's great. But if they are something like this, I want you to have something fresh on your mind to help you. Okay, so historically, this question gives students issues. So let's tackle it. Ahmed needs 3,500 for a future project. He can invest 2,000 now. Right, so I'm gonna start circling some things. Now, at an annual rate of 13% compounded quarterly. Okay, assuming that Ahmed doesn't take any withdrawals, how long would it take for him to have enough money for his project? Don't round. Before you get to the end, round to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so let's figure out what we know here. We know that A, which is the final amount that he needs, is 3,500. We know P, which is the principal, the initial amount he came in with was $2,000. Okay, we know the rate, 13%. We know we're going to divide by 100 and make that a 0.13. 13%, by the way, is very rare to get. These days, they're paying about 2 and 3%. Compounded quarterly. Okay, that's the number of times things are compounded. That's quarterly, so there's 4 quarters in a year, so n is going to be equal to 4. So let's see if we got what we need. We've got our A, the P, the R, the N. Oh, time. That's what we're looking for. How long will it take for him to have enough money for his project? That's the question mark. Okay, let's go find our compound interest formula. So on the last video and during the last week of week 14, you were working with this compound interest formula. So you'll probably recognize this. And we know the A. We know the P, we know the R, we know the N, but we're going to be looking for the T. And I know why this problem is tricky for people. It's because there's a lot involved to kind of dig down and find that T. But let's tackle it. Okay, in for A, the final amount we need is 3,500. Ahmed comes in with 2,000. That's the P. Why did I put an equal sign there? I don't know. Let's rewrite that. 3,500 is A equals 2,000 times 1 plus the rate is 0.13 over n, which is 4 raised to the 4 times the t. Okay, I think in my last video I was talking about how this t up here is so hard to find. It's like he's saying nanny nanny boo boo to you, right? And he's like, come find me. You can't get me, but we're gonna get him. So the first thing I would do is simplify this. This 0.13 divided by 4, then add 1 to it. So you can just use a regular calculator for that. 0.13 divided by 4 plus 1. We're going to get 1.0325. Okay. So I'm just going to carefully and methodically write out what we have. Okay. The goal is to get T. We've got all of this stuff hanging out on this hand, this side of the equation. So let's divide the 2,000. Let's get that out. The reason that we can divide is because 2,000 is multiplying to this. So you can separate that multiplication by division because that's going to cancel that. Okay, 3,500 divided by 2,000. 1.75. Okay, so 1.75 equals 1.0325 raised to the 4 times. Okay, for time. All right, so in the last video, we learned about the power rule. And the power rule for logarithms means you can take what's in an exponent and move it to the front. But that means you got to give both sides of the equation a log. So I'm going to give it to the left-hand side, and I'm going to give it to the right-hand side. It's the only way to get this t to come down and get down on the level we need to be able to find out what time is. How long is it going to take for $2,000 to grow to $3,500 at a rate of 13% compounded 4 times a year? So now we can do that rule, that power rule. I'm going to just do a little dotted line to show it's going to come down here. So we have log of 1.75 equals 4t times the log of 1.0325. Okay, t is what we want to get by itself. So we've got the 4 multiplying to the t, multiplying to the log. We can get rid of the 4 and the log at the same time. You might feel the urge to kind of do this separately, and that's okay if you want to. I'm just going to do it in one fell swoop. What does that do for us? Get rid of this, gets rid of this, leaving us t is equal to whatever the log of 1.75 divided by 4 times the log of 1.0325 is. Okay, let's go to, in our Batmobile, we're going to head over, I'm going to share my screen. Instead of using my graphing calculator that I love, I'm going to use this calculator here. All right, so here we go. We got to do, I think if I remember this right, we got to do the log of 1.75. We have to hit equals. Then we're going to divide that by 4 times the log of 1.0325 and hit equals. And it looks like it's going to take a little over 4 years for that money. So it says go out to the nearest hundredth, so I'm going to go 4.37. All right, let me stop sharing. We're over here. So 4.37 years, and that's how long it will take Ahmed to take the 2,000, put it in the bank at 13%, compound it every 3 months or quarterly, and he'll have 3,500 left for the project. So I can see why this is the number one trickiest type of problem that could be on your practice test or on your real test. Okay, let's look at another, the second most trickiest type of problem that people have trouble with. This one here. A ball is thrown vertically upward. After t seconds, its height in feet is given by this function. H of t equals 60t minus 16t squared. What is the maximum height that the ball will reach? Do not round your answer. Okay, I'm going to draw a little picture here because sometimes that helps with this. We'll see. X-axis, y-axis. We know that this is a parabola that's going to face down because your a value is negative. All right, right here. That's your a value. So this is your a value. This is your b value. So we already know it's going to face down. All right, and we know on the x-axis, normally we have time. On the y-axis, we normally have height. So think about this, a person standing here, and they throw a ball, whee, all right, and it comes back down. What's the maximum height the ball will reach? So we're looking for y. What's the height? Well, we know the maximum height is going to happen right here at the vertex. That's the maximum. That's the point where when this person throws the ball in the air, we can't see it with the naked eye, but it actually comes to a stop instantaneously, and then it comes back and it begins its descent back down. We want to know what that point is. How many seconds does it take to get there? How high is it at that point? Okay, define the vertex for a parabola written in this format. If you recall, we're going to do negative b over 2a. I think this was in week 13's homework. That's going to give us our time. Then we're going to take our time, put it back in for t, and that's going to give us our height. So x is equal to the negative sign. That's part of the formula. What's our b? 60 over 2 times our a, which is negative 16. Okay, so what we really have is negative 60 over negative 32. And negative divided by negative is going to make a positive. Let's see what 60 divided by 32 is going to make. All right, 1.875 seconds. Okay, 1.875. So that would be right here, 1.875 seconds. So think about throwing the ball, counting 1 second. Before you even get to 2 1 second, it's already at the top and coming back down. So that is what x is, right? Or x is referred to as time, which is t in this equation. So h of t is really y, right? We learned that a few lessons ago. So if we want to know what y is, which is the height, which is what they're asking, we have to put this 1.875 seconds in everywhere we see a time. So y, or the height, is going to be equal to 60 times 1.875 minus 16 times 1.875 squared. That's going to be able to help us answer this question. Okay, so this is order of operations. I would do this first, 1.875 times 2, or times itself. That's going to be 3.515625. So I'm going to rewrite what I got. Height is equal to 60 times 1.875 minus 16 times that. I'm going to multiply 16 times that and get, 56.25. Okay. Now I need to know what 60 times 1.875 is. And that's 112.5. So I'm going to subtract out 56.25, and the height is 56.25. 56.25, and it's given in feet, so this is feet. Okay, so that's right here, 56.25. So if you're counting off, you throw the ball, unload the ball there, you unleash it, you're at, before you get to 2 seconds, it's already reached its max height of 56.25 feet. So that is the second most tricky problem that can sometimes be on the practice test, sometimes it's on the real test. So hopefully you can tackle that one if it happens to come your way. Okay, the third potentially tricky problem is using the quadratic formula to solve for x. If there's more than one solution, separate them with commas. And then we want to leave in exact. They're going to tell you this on the directions. In exact answer form. So that means they don't want decimals. No decimals. Okay, quadratic formula. X equals, all right, I'm going to sing it for you. Here we go. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And that's how I remember the quadratic formula. Clearly, I was not gifted with the talent of singing. Okay, I'm getting my A, my B, and my C because it's equal to 0, so I can pluck those out. And let's go ahead and plug these in. So I like to do, you've probably heard me if you've watched another video, that I like to do a naked quadratic formula, where basically I've got everything set up except for the letters. So this says give me a B, well B is -3, give me a B, give me an A is 6, give me a C, -1, give me an A, which is 6. And now it's order of operations. So x is equal to 2 negatives are going to make that positive. Underneath here, 2 times 6 is 12. I like to take care of that right away. Make sure this line extends all the way across, right? It's not just under here, it's under the whole thing. See that? Okay, -3 squared is -3 times -3, which is 9. -4 times 6 is -24 times -1 is positive 24. Okay, let's shrink it down a little more. I think we're almost there. 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 plus 24 is going to be 33 all over 12. Okay, we can't go any further with that. So here's how you would put this in. You'd say x equals 3 plus the square root of 33 all over 12, comma, x equals 3 minus the square root of 33 all over 12. Remember, a parabola comes down, and if it's one that crosses the x-axis, you're looking for those 2 points. Well, these are the 2 points, but you don't want to go any further and give them, this is obviously going to be decimal answers because these are nasty little radicals and stuff, but they don't want that. They want you to leave it in exact format. So this is called exact when you leave it just like that. I think I have one more. Yeah, one more potentially tricky problem that can sometimes give people some issues. So let's do one more. All right, this is for you, Tahira. All right. If you're watching this is for you. Discover Bank offers a savings account that earns 6.5% interest compounded continuously. If Chris deposits 3,900, how much money will he have in the account after 6 years, assuming he makes no withdrawals? Okay. Compound interest, if you remember, compound interest is P times E to the RT. All right, that's going to give us our amount. So sometimes people call this PERTing, P-E-R-T, right? Okay, so we're looking for after 6 years, what's he going to have? And we don't know, so that's A. But we do know he comes in with a principal of 3,900 times E. Now the rate is 6.5%. Let's convert that. So divide it by 100. All right, so this 6.5% divided by 100 is going to be 0.065. That's going to be our rate. So 0.065 times the time was 6 years. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go over and I'm going to pray that I can get this in our Alex calculator here. All right, so clear. All right, so I got to do 3,900 times, they have an E button, E to the 0.065 times 6. Let's see what we get. Aha! I'm going to write this down. 5760.23 because they want us to round to the nearest cent. So that 5 will make that 2 go up. Beautiful. Okay, so Chris comes in with $3,900, right? Drops it in the Discover Bank. They say I'm going to give you 6.5% interest, which still is more interest than most places are paying right now. I'm making this video right now. This is 2024. You'd be lucky to get 2% interest at this point. After 6 years, so he walks away and he comes back and he takes his money out and he has $5,760.23. All right, this is my last video for MAT 205. Best of luck on test 3, and it has been an absolute pleasure serving as your instructor this semester. You did it. You should go and celebrate. Bye.